Today I'm going to show you how I made these little security boxes. You know, if somebody had an angle grinder or a hammer for that matter, it's not going to keep them out. This isn't intended to be like a safe. These are going into our 72-hour kits, and what they're going to do is just hold on to our emergency money for, you know, to keep like kids prying eyes out of the bag if they happen to find this and wanted to go on a spending spree one day. Well, that wouldn't be very fun for us in an emergency. So they're to basically just lock up our money and give us a little bit more secure method of storing them compared to, you know, just keeping them in an envelope or something as we keep them in one of the pockets. So they aren't very thick. They can hold quite a bit of money, and we can even put change in there if we want to. But again, these will be going into our 72-hour kits. And they just, again, they're not intended to be a safe, but they're to be more secure than just like an envelope and things like that. And, you know, somebody without tools won't be able to get these open. So anyway, I'll show you how we went about making these. In the CNC portion of the video, you actually saw me create similar patterns to this, but I used the plate marker to mark the lines where I wanted to make the bends. However, when I went to bend it with the little brake that I have from Harbor Freight, it just couldn't do it. I've used it before on 16 gauge steel, and I was pushing it to its limits, and I was trying to bend a little bit smaller of an area. You see how this lip is actually pretty small, and it just wouldn't do it. It was pushing it out of the way, and it was slipping rather than working. So I ended up putting these relief cuts in. I ended up putting them over the edge of these bars and hammering them down with this rubber mallet. And after I do that, I end up welding these seams and the corners and grinding them. And after doing that, everything fits together nicely. This one is a little bit smaller than this one. It does have higher edges because it is the base, but it fits inside of this one. And then just one thing to show you is on these corners, it's a little hard to tell with the glare, I put in a little bit of a circle as a relief cut so that when I go to bend these down, it just doesn't have as much stress on it on the ends, and that actually helps quite a bit. So if you're planning on ever doing CNC work and corners, I recommend just clipping that little corner out so that you don't get all the stresses there and things running into each other as you bend them over. Right over here, instead of putting these on, cutting these out and then bending everything all in one piece, I ended up cutting these little lock pieces out separate. It's just easier to line them up and cut them out after the fact and weld them on where I want them rather than try to make it all fit at once. So Okay, so here are the two pieces, all bent. As you saw, I had to take them over the corner and bend them. You can see right there is the relief cut, that circle, and if you didn't have that, you'd be bending the material. It'd stick out funny and everything. The relief cuts here make it real easy to bend with a hammer over the edge of a sharp edge like these 2x2 pieces of steel. What I have to do now is I have to weld these seams, the corners, do that on both the top and bottom piece. After I complete that, I will end up welding on these tabs and creating a hinge. Let me show you how I'm creating the hinge. So I have, I can't remember what this was called at the store. It's hardened steel, but it doesn't really need to be for this purpose. But just to make a simple hinge, I bought 3 of these. I cut one of them up. I'll cut a little bit off of this one because it's just a little too big when I add these other 2 little ends on. But I'll end up taking this nail and running it through here, welding the nail onto that end, and welding this piece to the bottom and then the ends right over there to the top, and that creates my hinge. Okay, here's the box all completed. Not my prettiest welds, but it'll do for its purpose. I don't want to touch the box because it's hot because of the welds, but I just go ahead and close it with these pliers. And basically, let me flip it around. Here's the hinge on the back. As you can see, if it'll focus. Having a hard time focusing. As you can see, I welded the outside. That one's an ugly weld. Then on the bottom side of this one, it's welded to the bottom piece. And then around the front, I don't want to close it right now, but I just welded these 2 little tabs on. And that's just for the lock, which, if I can find it, is right here. Just a teeny little lock. Those are luggage locks, you know, so I mean, this is my finger. You can see how small those are. So, you know, if somebody wanted to take a crowbar to this or a hammer, I'm sure they can get through it. It's only 16 gauge sheet metal. But that's not what its purpose is to keep people out like a safe would. Its purpose is to just keep my kids out, maybe some strangers, you know, if they saw it, maybe wouldn't know what it is, but anyway, there it is, and the other one's already painted, well, partially painted, and I'm about to go put this one under some spray paint too.